The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Friday in the Rib.
How did you get first?
I don't know. I guess because you do the close and I do the opening.
I guess so. I guess so.
You get the end.
Yep. Well, if you remember, we spoke about Narcan on Wednesday's show.
Yes, we did.
Well, one of our viewers decided to send me the recent costs of Narcan and where you can buy it. At CVS, it's $72.99 a dose. At Walgreens, it's $98.49 a dose. At South Coast Pharmacy, it's $101.68 a dose. At Anawan Pharmacy, it's $101.68 a dose. And $127 at Rite Aid and $128 at Standard Pharmacy. So this shows you, like I said, it was about $150.
Yeah.
It's in that general vicinity. And I appreciate that information from our viewer.
Yeah.
So,
And you can go some places and get it for free.
get it for free, exactly.
And-
Seven Hills.
There's nothing for free.
That's right. We pay for it in our tax
That's
dollars.
right. We pay, and that's the problem. As I said, again, government at its greatest, they won't fix the fentanyl problem and
Right.
won't fix the overdose problem by getting rid of the trafficking, but they'll just make Big Pharma richer. And boy, believe me, they're making a boatload of money on this stuff.
Oh, yeah, they are. There's no question about it. And while I don't think that we should cut off funding to substance abuse treatment, I think that maybe we should increase funding to cancer research, diabetes research, because if we're going to dump billions of dollars into substance abuse, why aren't we doing the same thing for people? At least they finally made it so that on January 1st, you cannot pay any more than $35 for a prescription on insulin.
Yeah.
Which was nice of them.
It was. But, you know, the problem I have with this stuff is, listen, you don't want to see, you know, being addicted obviously is a terrible thing, and it has a tremendous impact on families and
Right, it does.
everything else. So nobody is ignoring that fact. But the thing is, doing this almost encourages these people to continue to take drugs. There were reports of people having, you know, drug parties
Yep.
with Narcan there, so if they overdose, they could bring them back and they could start all over again.
Right.
I mean, listen, there's got to be, obviously you don't want people to die, but now this has become like everything. Remember years ago when they tried to stop drugs, the war on drugs? Yep. This is your brain, this is your brain on drugs. We all remember that.
Yep.
They gave up. That was in the late 60s, early 70s.
Yep.
And here we are 50 years later.
And we're still doing it.
And we're still over 50 years
Yep.
later. And what they've done is, you know what happens? As soon as they find out it's a giant profit-making thing, they're not going to stop it anymore.
Right.
We're just going to keep treating it.
Right.
And they'll find that now Narcan has become, you know, look at what happened with Big Pharma with Merck and Pfizer now.
Yep.
They had that, one of the Biden's pinheads saying now you should get a booster every 2 months. Mm-hmm. With all the data coming out now about people dying, most of the people who are dying today, statistically, are fully vaccinated.
Right.
So the reality is that what has this really done? And there's a lot of studies coming out about the negative effects. I saw one woman that got interviewed that went blind from a shot.
Right.
And so I'm not saying don't take the shot.
Right.
I mean, I took the shots.
I took it. I even got the booster.
I got a booster, but I'm not taking 6 shots a year.
No, neither am I.
And destroy your immune system.
Right, right.
But this is the problem. As soon as they find out they can make money because nobody knows that better than you, because you did a presentation in Canada.
That's right.
On this stuff.
That's right.
Now, all we got to do, see, these people like to forget about history
That's
and
right.
the past, because they don't want to remind people that they really don't do anything. All they do is figure out how to make money on this deal. Remember what happened when the methadone came out?
Yep.
That was the cure.
Yeah.
It was going to stop drug addiction. All they had to do was come in. They found out that didn't work, did it? Absolute failure.
No, and it's become a big money maker.
Yeah, but there you go.
It's a big money maker for a lot of places.
There is the progression.
Yep.
How it morphs. It morphed to first they advertise it as a cure.
Now it's a stabilization drug.
Now it doesn't.
Or a maintenance drug.
It's not curing anything.
Right.
They've proved it. And rather than say, okay, that's the end of the program, we're not going to buy methadone. There's methadone clinics all over the place. And what do? They put the little label on it. Oh, this is the, in case they can't get regular drugs, they can come and take methadone.
Right.
That's keeping them on drugs.
Right.
So this is what happens. As soon as big money finds out they can make big money, it never goes. It's kind of like taxes.
Yep.
They just never go away.
Yeah, yeah. It's tough. It really is. I have been a long supporter of weaning people off of methadone. It wasn't meant to be a for life drug, and that's what happened. They use it as a maintenance drug, and what happens is this, and they've got this down to a science. They go to methadone clinic A, and then they start using drugs on the side. The drugs get picked up, and they get kicked out of methadone clinic A. So then they go to methadone clinic B, which is further away. And then they start pulling the same stuff there. Then they go to methadone clinic C. My personal opinion is, why should I have to pay to ship them from A to B, from B to C? Because we actually pay for the cabs to take them to their methadone clinic appointments. And that's kind of scares me a little bit, because, again, we're enabling them to continue the abuse pattern. This is supposed to not be a maintenance drug, but it's supposed to, start you off, get you off the drug, and then send you on your way. But it doesn't do that. It's like you said, it's a moneymaker.
Well, it's government and pharma. Yeah. It's big money in government. We see that interaction now with Pfizer and Moderna, and that they're making claims that, now taking it, one guy take it every 2 months. What are you, nuts? Every 2 months you're going to take a shot to depress your immune system, and they deny natural immunity. They said natural immunity is not forever, which is a lot more forever than any kind of shot is.
Right.
And that's absurd. That's anti-science. But then again, you're a science denier because you didn't believe Fauci and all his lies.
The thing is, and we both said it, we do not say don't get the shot. We've never said that. Okay? This is a personal decision that we make as individuals. Yeah. You and I have both had the shot. You and I have both had the booster. We're still here. We're still seeing, still hearing. We didn't have any major side effects. I didn't even get, people were complaining about the pain in their arm. Yeah. I didn't even get that. So when you get the opportunity to receive the booster shot, or maybe your first COVID vaccine, get it if you want to. If you don't want to, you accept the responsibility of that. But remember, and this is something they've said, and I have to agree with it from a medical point of view, if you get COVID, you can spread it to other people. But meanwhile, even though you have the vaccine, doesn't mean you don't get COVID. Yeah. You just get a more mild form of COVID, but you can still spread it.
Actually, there's a few people that have been multi-boosted that are out again. And I heard this morning somebody told me WSA's got 2 or 3 people out with COVID, and they've been vaccinated multiple times. But listen, as you said, nobody's saying don't take it. But you got to remember that the people who are not, they're branded anti-vax. I've really never seen anybody in a medical community say, absolutely, you should not take that vaccine. They all say, the people who are about this say, listen, if you're young and healthy, you should consider maybe not taking it because that group virtually never dies
Right.
from that statistically. Now, if you're in that group and you have a comorbidity, obviously you have to make that decision as you get older.
Right.
If you have diabetes or if you have some of the comorbidities that are listed.
High blood pressure,
and
heart conditions.
so obviously you have to look at that.
Right.
They say weigh it based on your personal position.
Right.
Not because they said, Joe said, take the shot and you'll never get COVID. Oh, wait a minute. Take the shot, you'll get COVID, but you're not going to die. But wait a minute, you took the shot, you got boosted, and you still died. So what do you say now? Well, does it work? It works for a lot of people, obviously. But as you said, it's a personal decision. But but misinformation is coming from the people who have control of the media. That's what, because as you said, most of the doctors you see that oppose this do not oppose the vaccine.
That's right. That's right.
They say if you are in a group that has virtually zero chance, when you weigh the possible side effects, because even though if you're young and healthy, you don't know if you're one of those people. It's like taking any medication. They all have side effects.
Right.
It doesn't affect some people. Some people get one of 25 side effects. And I see those commercials on TV all the time now, and it just kills me. It's like they got a commercial for psoriasis, and at the end it said, oh, and by the way, one of the side effects is you could get cancer, you could die, your brain
Super
could
coma death,
Yeah, your brain could explode.
Yep.
Well, I think I'll take the psoriasis.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, but this is the thing. It became a money train.
And the worst part about it is that when you speak your opinion on this and many other topics, social media cuts you off.
Oh yeah, you can't.
Or they mock you as fake, or YouTube did it to one of our videos and they took it offline. And we understand their position where they've got to be careful. But I don't think they reviewed the information. I think they just
they pick up a word.
They picked up the word and that was it.
Yeah.
And that happens and we understand that. But at the same time, I don't want to have us go offline for a week as a form of punishment for something we shouldn't get. But that's what can happen. It's just very interesting to see.
But this is a it's a topic. These topics.
And right now, I think what's more important for people to consider is the flu vaccine. Okay? I personally don't get the flu vaccine. I got it once about 10 years ago, and I got sick. And that's one of the side effects. You can actually get sick from getting the flu vaccine. But they're actually recommending it highly because, especially if you're watching the news, you see the 3 forms of respiratory illnesses that are coming online that are overpowering the hospitals, especially the juvenile RSV. Yeah. And when you've got a hospital 125% pediatric occupancy, you've got some real serious problems.
Yeah, I just it's unfortunate, and you mentioned that, and I just caught it as I was leaving. It's really unfortunate, and obviously we extend our condolences to the family. But I saw a report about an infant dying of that. And they said that the parents had a difficulty getting their child into a hospital because it's so prevalent. I think it was in California, maybe. But they had difficulty getting the baby in, and when they finally did, and the baby got diagnosed, they medevaced it to another hospital. But 3 days later, the baby passed. Yeah. So that's a terrible thing. And as you said, you've got to pay attention to everything, but you've also got to look at what you do. I was like you. I didn't take the flu vaccine for years,
right?
Because I took it once and got sick as a dog. But now, the last few years, I said, well, I might as well take it. And so, knock on wood, it hasn't given me any ill effects. So I took it this year.
And the other thing they're recommending, and they've recommended that to me for a long time, is the pneumonia vaccine.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, the one good thing about the pneumonia vaccine is they have 2 forms. They have the standard strength form and the extra strength form. It's a quad. And they recommend the quad for people who have comorbidities or people over 65. And everyone else should just get the standard dose. It's good for 10 years.
Yeah.
It's good for 10 years. I mean, I got that probably 15 years ago when I was in the hospital. They didn't give me an option. They just gave it to me. And I didn't get any side effects from that. And again, I never had pneumonia because they focus on a specific form of pneumonia. It's not viral. It's bacterial. And the vaccine works, obviously, because a lot of people who've taken it, it works out fine.
See, we wandered over this entire discussion, which is a good discussion, I think, from Narcan.
That's right.
Did you have something else you wanted to touch on?
Oh, there's a whole bunch of things I want to touch on. How many people actually were paying attention yesterday to that kidnapping that happened in Dartmouth and ended in Fall River? Okay? A gentleman went into Dartmouth to his ex-girlfriend's house or whatever, took the child at knife point, got in his car. The mother of the child ran out to the car, got in the car, and they drove all the way back to Fall River. Meanwhile, an Amber Alert gets issued, and they're following them back to Fall River. The car was found at the Fall River Shopping Center over by Burlington, the store of Burlington, and they were arrested on Rock Street. The child and the mother were taken to the hospital for examination just to be sure they were all set. All of a sudden today, the mother is saying, "Oh, this is a misunderstanding." 2 city and town police departments, state police helicopters, 2 helicopters, all came out. Fire, EMS came out. Who's paying for that? If this is a mistake, who's paying for that?
We are.
We are. Okay? And now she doesn't want to prosecute. Well, guess what? If I were the prosecutor, I'd turn around and say, guess what? You're paying for it. Here's a $50,000 bill. Go pay for it.
Yeah.
Go pay for it. Because that's not right.
50,000 may be low,
I was
especially
gonna say,
for a couple of helicopters
exactly.
flying around.
Exactly.
But
the fuel is expensive.
that's right.
Yeah.
But like you said, but you look at it today, that's today's society. I saw a video this morning while I was having breakfast of they stole in California, or where else, right? They have these organizations that steal stuff. They stole $35,000 worth of stuff out of an Apple store, computers, phones, everything. And they had the video. And the video shows them just grabbing things.
Yep.
And they told anybody that does anything, we're gonna harm you, which now elevates it to a felony.
Right.
$35,000 worth of merchandise, and the store employees were telling people to leave them alone. Don't bother them. Let them take anything they want. Well, who do you think's paying for all that crap? We are.
Yeah. And
$35,000 worth of, and if they do get prosecuted, and actually at the end of that piece they said, now in California, police won't even investigate that now.
Yeah.
Crime is like that's a new job.
Well,
professional shoplifter.
We do the same thing here in Fall River.
Yeah.
Okay, the police department doesn't come out for a lot of things. They tell you, go online and file the report online, and then they'll process it. Somebody breaks into your home, file the report online.
Well, I'm
Somebody stole something from you,
I'm glad
file
you
report
said
online.
that. It segued into something I wanted to mention. At the Flint Association meeting, supposedly a police officer said there have been a total of 75,649 service calls so far this year. 75,000. Now, if that means in addition to what's filed online, and you wonder why they're trying to they're saying when this city doesn't have a crime problem. I did a quick calculation. That comes out to like 211 calls a day. 211 calls a day that they're responding to. And granted, some of them aren't dangerous, but when we looked at those FBI statistics, it was about violent crime and property crime.
Right.
So,
And Chief Garvin did say on another program that to date we're lower, 35% lower, I believe is what he said.
in one aspect.
In one aspect.
Yeah,
and that was shootings.
But yeah, well, I mean, what did we have at this point in time last year? That would have been a more reliable statistic because if you can't just cherry pick stats. You can't say, well, graffiti crime is down. Well, there's thousands of other types of crime.
Right.
And obviously that's what the FBI looks at its statistics. And this is why we look at these statistics. You know, figures don't lie, but liars can figure. The reality is when you cherry pick things, you now are trying to manipulate the narrative in your favor. You got to look at it and start, you're going to talk about crime. How much crime do we have?
Right.
How many crimes were committed? And that's what the FBI did. Because obviously Fall River would not be #1 in crime. We have a lower homicide rate even when we were #1 for the last 3 years than a lot of communities do. If you go to Chicago, well, Chicago's got probably a higher murder rate than New York City or virtually anywhere.
Right.
I think, except maybe
Chicago.
Philly is now up there now. But the thing is, you know, obviously murder is a big issue.
Yeah.
So, but you got to look at the other crime too, muggings, you know, break-ins, et cetera, et cetera. So if you want to say, is the city safe? You know, you could. It's kind of really being a little disingenuous. You'd say, well, you're safe from being murdered in Fall River, but you may not be safer from getting mugged or your house broken into. So that's why you've got to look at a stat in its totality, because people want to know how much crime is being committed in the area they live in, not just particular crimes. Obviously, nobody in years has moved to the south side of Chicago.
That's right.
They even made a record. You know, Bad Leroy Brown,
Right,
Jim
yep.
Croce. You know, on the south side of Chicago, it's the baddest part of town.
Yep.
South side of Chicago has been virtually one of the murder capitals of the United States for 50 years. It's been like that as long as anybody could remember. That the south side of Chicago, if you went there, that's a war. It's been a war zone for decades, and it's worse now than ever. But again, that's government. And what does government do? Nothing. Look at our government. We got a new job, another useless job, and whose resume was not ever shown to anybody. And we got another one. That's what our mayor is best at: creating jobs that virtually don't do anything for the public. Director of operations, or whatever they called it. I don't know.
City operations.
City. Oh, yeah, that's right. Because we got to leave a vacancy for director of school operations.
That's right.
at some point in time. City operations. Now, you know, look, I'm sick of this. That's all this guy knows how to do, because that's what they do in the school department. He just appointed another assistant superintendent. That makes what, 7 or 8?
Yep.
You guys make it. The superintendent's making $250,000 or close to that ballpark figure, and you can't run a school system. You need 8 assistants. Probably they're all making over 100 G's. So you're looking at another $800,000 here. That's $1 million we're paying for superintendents. Look at it. With benefits, it's over $1 million.
Right.
And what are they doing? We can't crack the top 200 in education. But this is what he is best at. We're going to get a director of operations. What's he going to do? Go to the fire department and tell the fire chief, who spent his entire career in the fire service and knows about fire operations, how to operate the fire department?
No. No.
Is he going to go to the police department and tell the police chief?
No.
No. Is he going to go to DCM and tell
Yes.
them? Yeah. He's going to go to DCM and tell them.
Yep.
Right? Because what? He worked at DCM for 2 days.
DCM,
Yep.
water,
Yep.
sewer, building maintenance, which we have very little in Fall River as it is, cemeteries, parks. You know, these are all the jobs that were under the DCM director. And guess what? The DCM director still has a job.
I got a very good question. You just brought up when you talk water. Mm-hmm. The former head of the water department got rehired as a consultant. Is he
right.
going? Hell no, he ain't going.
Nope.
And neither is anybody else. We just keep layering and layering and layering and layering. And who pays for it? We do.
Yep.
You just keep putting people on. You put him in, okay. Are you eliminating the head of DCM, the head of the water department, the head of the other, and just say, okay, this guy's going to run all these departments. You got working foremans that are going to deal with the crews. No.
According to the mayor and according to Seth Akins, who's the city administrator, this is going to improve efficiencies. You know, kind of like when moving the EMS department downtown to Bedford Street is going to improve efficiencies.
Yeah, well, that's their con, but let's see how efficient the school department is. They've got more personnel now, 8 assistant superintendents, I don't know how many vice principals and principals and stuff. And then they lost the kid. Remember the kid that wandered out of the school?
Yep.
Nobody could take attendance. You know, this is the problem with having somebody from the school department, because that net school spending and education reform has created a monster, a vacuum cleaner of money with nothing attached to performance. It's going to make it more efficient. Now we got another guy to help screw in the light bulb. We got department heads that are being paid 6 figures to run a department.
Can you imagine if they allotted state aid for education based upon the success of the school system?
Yeah.
You want to make a bet that they would turn around and they would rapidly improve,
of course,
the functions of the school system?
But imagine if we applied, although they have made some jobs, but if we applied the way they operate to police and fire that are quasi-military organizations and have rank structures.
Right.
And because you're a lieutenant, you're in charge of your crew in that shift. And the captain's in charge of the overall company, the extra duties. Well, why don't we have like a captain for every guy? Because that's what this guy loves to do. Let's have 8 captains, 8 lieutenants, and 8 firefighters. That'd be beautiful. They have their own lieutenant and their own captain. You know why? It'll be more efficient.
Yeah.
Because you'll have a supervisor looking at you from the front and one looking at you derriere. Well, while you're doing it. I mean, this is ludicrous.
Yep.
This guy has inflated this city budget so much. When this opera money runs out, this city is going to tank.
Yep.
It is going to tank.
No question about it. No question about it. And the thing that really gets me is when we have people working in the school department that aren't even doing school department work. They're doing their own personal business.
Oh, yes.
On city time, and the city isn't doing anything about it. And as a matter of fact, I think that could possibly be the reason why they want to separate a position and create 2 new supervisors.
Yeah.
Because of that, I think it could be. I'm not saying it is.
Well, they can make that guy a supervisor. Yeah. Then he can have his own. He can improve his workshop so he can do his auto.
Exactly.
But,
exactly.
Yeah. The government, government never streamlines anything, and they never make anything more efficient. They only make it more bureaucratic.
That's true. Well, on Monday, our show will air at 6 o'clock on Channel 95. We will still air at 10 o'clock in the morning on our Facebook, YouTube feed, but our show will air at 6 o'clock because at 5 o'clock on Monday, we're going to have the North Pole Live episode where the kids can call in and speak to Santa Claus. So we've supported that program here for many years, and we will continue to support it. I've even helped out at it. Our producer today, Michelle, always loves doing that show. She gets a great deal of a kick out of it. So remember, on Monday, 5 o'clock, watch North Pole Live, and we will be there with you. And remember, thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Monday.
Ho, ho, ho.